So lately I've been reading a book. It's called Faith Still Moves Mountains by Harris Faulkner, best-selling author actually. And she's a former anchor in USA. She's very famous, actually very famous. So in this book, it talks about devotions, it talks about testimonies, it talks about examples that we can use to renew our faith in prayer and in God. I started reading about 10 pages of this book, and the first story was, and everyone said amen, and so it came something like that. In the first part of the story, we see two teenagers, 17-year-olds, namely Heather and Tyler. These couples, they wanted to go to the beach, have a swim, and get back home because Heather's sister's birthday is on that day, on that night. So there's a party. The next thing you know, they go out, they want to reach the buoy, things get out of hand, they end up being dragged into the middle of the ocean. Even when they tried to get to shore, it was getting further and further away. The shore was getting further and further away from them. So there's another guy, he's a businessman. He has to take his yacht and basically pindahala, basically he has to change his parking space at a marine. So this marine that he was parked at has a massive renovation for 8 months, and for 8 months he can't be there, right? So from New Jersey he has to go to another place, and there's two routes that he could have taken with his companions. There were people with him on that yacht, and instead of going to the shortest but dangerous route, he decided to go on the safest and also the longest route. And along the way, in a distance, in about 200 yards, he sees two dots bobbing on the water, waving at them to rescue. He goes there, rescues them, and the moment he reaches out and grabs Heather's by the hand, she says, "God is real." And that is actually true. That's when they got saved. They had no swimming experiences, but they still kept on swimming for about 2 hours in the middle of the ocean. What did I see in this story is that they prayed. The two of them, they cried out to God. They were brought up in a Christian household. They went to Christian schools. They know what faith is. They know how God works, the power of Christ, everything. So they actually cried out to God, and God saw, He heard, and immediately sent help. There were so many coincidences in this story for this entire story to be a coincidence, if you get what I mean. There were so many things going on. Why did a random guy with his friends had to take that route on that day? How were they able to survive in the middle of the ocean for 2 hours with no swimming skills? They were good at treading water somehow. And she continues to talk, Heather continues to talk in her ROTC courses where she learns how to properly swim. That's when she realizes, oh my God, I didn't even know how to do this correctly, but I still survived, right? Very simple. The guy who rescued them with his friends, the guy was also a faithful guy. He was a businessman. He always prayed. He always kept his communication and his relationship with God. Look what happened. That tragedy, almost a tragedy, renewed his faith. A bad thing could have happened, but that bad thing ended up becoming a good thing. And a lot of people that he didn't even know were faithful. His friends, his family members, his nephews, his nieces, his brothers and sisters, they were touched. God touched them using his story. He saved them. That could have been a lifetime tragedy for both families, but God used that specific thing to touch others. What I have learned is that prayer works. If we are steadfast in prayer, if we keep the faith, and God is always faithful. It's just a matter of us. Are we willing to do what it takes to go back to Him? Are we willing to pray? Are we willing to cry out to God for rescue? Because God is mentioned in the Bible as a rescuer. So whatever situation that you're going through that needs rescuing, remember, cry out to God. God, right now at this moment, save me. I really need you. I don't see any other way out of this. So Lord Christ, please save me. And I'm very sure that He will touch you and He will rescue you from wherever you are. Nothing is impossible for God, and that is a fact. And the irony of this entire story is that the guy who saved the kids, right, the teenagers, so many different friends of his who he didn't know were faithful as well to God. And they exchanged things, and it was such a life transforming thing for them because they started to get influenced by him by God's grace, they were also touched, and they had renewed their faith in God, because nothing is impossible for God. So the thing I want to say is, I would encourage everyone here who's struggling through a difficult time. Maybe something seems impossible, something feels dead, you need rescuing. And the Bible mentions that God is a rescuer, and that is a fact. And this story proves that God actually does things. Faith still moves mountains. We just have to pay attention. We just have to quiet our minds and just listen closely. So with that, I just want to encourage you, stay prayed up. God bless you. And stay tuned for more.